Hey everybody, hello and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about Suga. I'm going to be sharing some of my theories, some of the interesting little bits of content we've gotten dripped to us that's kind of alluding to what kind of album we're getting, and also basically what's going on with the guy. And these are just my own personal musings and theories and whatnot, so take them with a grain of salt. But he has been releasing some interesting photos and concepts to us so far that I think kind of ties into this new album. So obviously the big news right now, I'm sure everybody's very excited about, is in less than 24 hours, he'll be releasing a brand new song featuring IU. Now, last time he did that for the song 8, which was absolutely beautiful, kind of heartbreaking, but heartwarming at the same time. It had a really interesting nostalgic type of feel to it, which basically just solidified it as a song that's just gonna hold up to time. You know, if it just constantly feels like it's a nostalgic song, it was written that way. And I think we got that with 8. And I think it's a song that people kind of hold dear. I know it's a song that I hold dear. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I'm really excited to see what he does with People Part 2. Let's talk about this. So he does have a song called People. And it's interesting. It's off of the D2 album. And I've gone back, I've listened to that song a couple more times. I've thought about my theories on that and looked at the Dream Team, what they sent to me and everything. And it feels kind of like musings. It feels very philosophical in nature. You know, him talking about going through life, basically thinking that, you know, man might be at the top of the pedestal, but we're just animals that might not be the smartest after all, and things we take for granted, and how we can kind of get stuck in our own heads. And it has a lot of deep, interesting, and philosophical messages, and it also feels incredibly honest. But honestly, that's nothing new. This happens all the time. So will People Part 2 be an extension of that? Will it be, you know, his several years later and how he thinks about himself now, and how he got out of his head, and what's going on with him now? Probably. I guess we'll see. This isn't a new concept. BTS does this all the time. Jimin just did it recently with his brand new songs and new album and stuff. And sometimes they kind of tie together, sometimes they don't. Actually, more often than not, sonically, they do not tie together. But we'll see how this one goes. I'm very curious to see how it plays out. And of course, IU is just absolutely amazing, so I'm really excited to check this one out. Also, we've gotten a couple trailers that have dropped on us. Let me just show you this one here real quick. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it a couple times. It's Suga's Road to D-Day. And if you guys don't know, I'm assuming you do. Hopefully you do. The new album is called D-Day, and supposedly it's going to tie together the trilogy of Agust D, all 3 of his albums. And yeah, I'm excited to see the climax in this one. And he's released a couple interesting photos to kind of tie together the new song and new, yeah, I guess promotional material, I guess you can call it. And I'm sure we'll probably get more as we get closer to the actual album date. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, so what we know about the song is it has kind of a boom bap feel to it. This is what my people tell me. that it's already been written that we're going to be getting this boom bop feel. But hey, man, what is boom bop? Do you guys know what boom bop is? Well, if you don't, I'll tell you right now. It's a phrase that was coined back in like the early 90s, the early days of East Coast hip hop, which I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm not exactly 100% knowledgeable on. It's not normally my style of music, but there's definitely an art form to it, and it is something I definitely do respect. And it's something all of the guys in BTS has kind of implemented in their music. Basically, it has kind of a retro type of sound, retro East Coast hip hop type of sound. Boom bop literally means the boom is the kick drum, the big one in the ground that goes boom. And the bop is the snare. So it's kind of like a kick and snare type of sound. In layman's term, as easily as I can break that down, that's basically just what that is, in case you're confused as to what boom bop may be. So, okay, we're gonna have a cool little, nice little retro type of sound, but there's more information that we've gotten over here. Let me just jump to my Twitter. I just posted this. By the way, you can check me out on Twitter at JimGames33. I try to release at least a post or two a day talking about theories and things coming up with BTS and just my thoughts on them. If you want to follow along, it's right there. If not, hey, no biggie. Anyway, so this is something I dropped here today. My girl Pam shared this with me. And I posted, Suga appears to be cupping or cradling a mic. And basically what that means is holding over the mic like that. And you hear what happens with the sound when I do that? It kind of like intensifies it. It basically, you know, just kind of almost muffles it, but it makes it peak a little bit more. Now, this is a common technique used by metal vocalists. They do it all the time. You'll see them grabbing it and screaming into it because it makes them sound larger than life. You can also do it with rapping or whatever. But at its core, basically what it does is it makes you have a very real, raw sound. It adds a little bit more bass to the mix, and it just sounds a little bit more piercing. Anyway, we can see him doing that here a couple times, and also playing with a live band. Now, I also do want to note here as well, just kind of what he's wearing, and I'm no fashionista, you know, I don't know anything about fashion, but I do notice a look here in, excuse me, a lot of the looks seem kind of dark. Like here, it seems like he's wearing a dark leather jacket, like a black jacket or something, which, you know, just screams metal to me. Do I think he's going to release a metal album? Absolutely not. But I do think there's going to be some harsher and deeper and darker tones. Now, let's contrast that with a different post, not that one. This one over here. And this is basically the promotional photo or whatever. And it's just him sitting in a living room or something, or I'm not sure exactly where this is. I don't think it's his actual studio. I don't believe this is a studio for a couple different reasons, even though there's a few instruments here. But generally you would not want a giant glass window. That's just not gonna be good for sound. Sound will bleed out through that, and it's not gonna be the best cohesive audio experience while you're creating things. But this can be a fun little playground, and that's kind of what I think we're getting at over here. And if you notice down here, I circled this one synth down here that got me really excited when I first saw this this little picture, and that is the Super 6 synth. It is regarded as one of the best in the sound design community. You can do some fantastic things with this thing. It is just a playground. It is so much fun to use. I don't personally have it, but I have used it a couple times, and I gotta say, I absolutely love it. It is known for stereo sequencing and modulations that do all sorts of fun stuff. And you can really just have some fun with sound. You can do some really awesome, lush, beautiful pad sounds or strings, but then you can also mix that together with some really weird and wacky electronics. You know, I actually got a little sample over here I'm gonna show you real quick. Now, this may be abrasive and sound a little nerdy, but I just want to kind of give you an idea of showing how you can mess with the frequency of sounds using this synthesizer that Suga had showcased on this picture.
The Super DDS. The stereo field starts to open up as the 6 sister oscillators in DDS1 phase in and out of each other in the left and right channels. Same goes for the filters, so if I open and close the filters in binaural mode, it won't sound binaural. Let's do this with an LFO.
Okay, I don't want to nerd you guys out with too much nerdy stuff. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of just showing how you can kind of really, this synth has a hands-on approach to just modulating sound. Binaural mode is kind of the main selling point of the synthesizer, this little button right down over here. And it basically makes these really cool, interesting, sci-fi analog sounds into a true stereo, which is something, it's a technology that's it's been kind of slow to come to fruition, but this synth is one of the ones that can do it, along with a couple other ones, but this one is just something wild on its own. It has more of like a hands-on approach with all the fun knobs and buttons and whatnot and oscillators. And not just to mention too, it's just absolutely beautiful. So I think that in itself has some cool style and things to do. Yeah, so that's the synth noise over there. At least one basic, that's just a sawtooth sound. It just kind of shows you can mess with the frequency just a little bit, and this whole video goes over it in much more depth than I ever have. But I don't want to bore you with all those details. But the big news is, obviously, we got this new album. We've got D-Day on the way, and then we have this documentary coming out, Road to D-Day. And it's another Disney Plus thing, which is pretty cool. I really enjoyed what Disney did with J-Hope's documentary. I thought I saw everything from Hobbypalooza. I saw every angle. We experienced it live together. It was a ton of fun. It's literally one of my favorite performances of 2022. It was a historic moment, and my boy Jay absolutely killed it. We all know that. But I want to talk about what Disney does. Disney takes a lot of the audio, a lot of the fidelity, and they turn it up to 10. They master certain sounds and certain live aspects of music, and it just sounds so good. I mean, I thought, I was watching on Hulu for the Lollapalooza performance, and I thought the audio was definitely pretty decent. But once Disney got their engineers on it and had the big bucks really thrown at it, the fidelity on it is just absolutely fantastic. And I think Disney does an awesome job with their editing and everything. It's cool because, going back to People, sorry to swing back around to this topic again, but going back to People, I feel like this song is really about musings. It's really about finding himself, and kind of having a conversation with himself and where he wants to go and finding his passion and finding his place in not only music, but in the world. And it's interesting how these trailers, the Road to D-Day here, talks about that too, about him just traveling and kind of finding his passion again and all of the ups and downs of creating music to 1 second wanting to absolutely quit and be done with the whole thing because it can be so frustrating and annoying to the next second just absolutely loving it. Once you finally find your groove, once you finally a song comes to fruition and you start to see the pieces fall together and you start to see the big picture, and there's just like no greater feeling in the world to like strap on a pair of headphones after you've created something and just listen to it and be like, okay, this is an audio visualization of what I was going for and what I'm trying to express. And it's, you know, it's art, man. It's a painting in itself. And I think Suga is truly, truly an artist, not only with all the credits and of music that he's done, but I think this is a really exciting time to be a BTS fan. It's unfortunate right now with the military and them splitting up and doing their own things. And I understand we can't have them all come together and have that amazing work when they're together. But trust me, when they come back, that's going to be wild. But to me, this is a very exciting time to be a BTS fan. All of them, every single one of them. You know, they're all stepping out on their own. They're trying new and interesting things. They're implementing things with music that they maybe weren't able to do as a cohesive unit with other guys because, you know, they had to, you know, be thinking about other people's parts and movements and all of that other stuff. But when you go out on your own, you're able to just to kind of have a little bit more experimentation with it. I mean, hell, look at Jack in the Box. I mean, that was what nobody expected. I mean, that came out of left field. And he absolutely killed it. Look what RM did with Indigo. I mean, that album is a pure through and through art album. He literally used some of the best musicians that he could find and wanted to work with, and he respected the most, and used them like a paintbrush in all of those songs. Absolutely, there's nothing more quintessential RM than the Indigo album. It's just absolutely gorgeous. I love it. It's on my weekly play on my playlist. And then obviously what we just got for Jimin. And Jim is just killing it right now. Top of the Hot 100. Like just like these are historic moments that are coming out. Like they're truly not just being like, hey, we're a one-hit wonder or we're a one-trick pony type of thing. Like we can go off and do anything and we're going to have these crazy numbers. We're going to have this crazy support and it's going to be successful. I really enjoy the Face album as well. I think it's silky. It's smooth. I think it's honest. I think it's a beautiful haze of an album. And I'm really excited to see what Suga does. His albums tend to be a little bit more emotionally driven, a little bit more philosophical, a little bit more asking the big questions of life and himself. And he's just an interesting character the way he does that. You know, look at Setchetois and the interviews that he does with people, the questions that he's asking. Like, he doesn't need to be doing that. He's not trying to pump anybody's numbers up. He's not really trying to sell anything, even though there are sponsors and whatnot. But that doesn't seem to be the end goal. The end goal is to have an honest conversation with somebody and truly learn from their experiences and implement them in your own life and share those experiences with people back and forth. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with this album. I'm very excited to see this documentary as well, the behind the scenes look into the whole thing and the making of. It's going to be absolutely wild. This month is going to be something else. Anyway, I just wanted to pop on and just do a quick little video about some of the things that I found and some of the things that I'm excited for. And I hope that you are excited as well. And I'll see you all soon with another video very, very soon. All right. Bye, guys.